Hello and welcome to an upbeat, positive episode number 75 of the Town Social. We went into this game having won the last two games, albeit unconvincingly, but surely we were showings to beat a Posh side who have been dreadful all season, not keeping a clean sheet and not managing to win away in the league since August. Well, if there's one thing we can all depend on, it's that Town is going to disappoint us. Again, Charity FC was in generous mood, and the Terriers produced arguably one of the worst performances of the season. Posh pummeled at the door with electric pace down the flanks, particularly from Eden and Odo. And after a few near misses, the inevitable happened just before the break when Captain Kiprianu powered home a header after the defence parted like the Red Sea. That should have woken Town up, but the second half was even more depressing as our lacklustre attack brought not one single shot on target. In truth, the Posh had great chances on the counter-attack, and if not for some poor finishing, it could have been 2 or 3. The crowd vitriol was tangible. I haven't been seen such resignation to mediocrity and disappointment since my missus on my wedding night. The boos rang out and the players trudged off in disarray. More injuries, more misery. Who's to blame for this mess? Can we still get promoted, and will Mark Cartwright ever be able to show his face again? Well, to mark this solemn occasion, we've searched the far reaches of the Town fan base to handpick only the finest middle-aged miserable feckers to join this evening's Moan Fest. I'll be your host, Nick Barlow, and joining our group therapy tonight will be Mr. Gaz K and Andy K. Ian Kilroy's busy getting his nut roast. No, that's not a euphemism, he's having his tea. But he will be with us shortly. Thank you all for joining, guys. Thank you for listening, everybody, as always. Please get your comments in. If you'd be kind enough to subscribe to us on Spotify and YouTube, that would be amazing. Follow us on X. If you want to be on the show, DM us on X, and we'll get you on like Mr. Stephen Shepherd the other week. But yeah, get your comments and your questions in, guys. There's a lot to talk about. Gaz, I didn't go to the game yesterday, thank God. How was it, mate?
It wasn't great. I think the general feedback you'll have had since, Nick, will probably give you a feel of what it was. I wandered into town on I have a bit of Saturday morning routine, right? So on a Saturday morning, I go and buy a Yorkshire Post because wife's working. I go and get a bacon sandwich and I sit and read Yorkshire Post. And I was reading Yorkshire Post and I was reading the pre-match article, and I got my phone out and I had a look, and Posh have got the worst goals conceded in the league. Won 1 in 9 against Wigan, only won twice away from home. You know, they're as shit away from home as we've been at home. And I'm thinking, this has got to be it, right? You know, we've had 2 wins back to back, as you said, Nick. Not convincing, but it's got to give him a bit of something, and it got to give him a bit of something to have a go at. But no, I saw the team came out, and I was horrified to see 2 central defensive midfielders playing against Posh at home. Tom Lees was AWOL. I wondered whether Tom Lees had his nose problem, but we now found out, just to cheer us all up, after the end of the game, he's probably out for the season. So that wasn't a great start. The announcer really set the tone when he said, "Here comes Huddersfield Town," and then they didn't appear for 45 seconds. And then when they did come out, he had to do it again. So that really, and then of course our kick-off, really, we rolled it back to Sorensen, who simply kicked it through for the Posh keeper to pick it up, and that sort of set the tone for the day. Really, I thought we looked disjointed. I don't think we really knew where we were meant to be playing. You know, that I thought as bad as we were. By the way, I have to say I thought Peterborough were really good on the day. I thought yet again another manager who's managed to nail Duff at home. Really, they knew where to play. They played in a diamond in midfield, which meant we got overloaded in the midfield when we tried to play, and then got overloaded in the fullbacks when they tried to play, and so it played out. And they had, you know, I thought they had a couple of really good lads on the day. Number 10, Odo. I mean, Sorensen just couldn't cope with the lad. There was no lad, number 7. Is it Mother Sill? I think his name. He was fantastic. He kept dropping into the centre mid. He kept dropping away from the back 4 into centre midfield and playing some really tidy stuff. And Longvite just kept pointing at him as he ran away from him. I mean, I don't really thought was going to pick him up because the midfielder were already trying to mark 3 people. And the goal came. The goal was an absolute beauty. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. You know, their goal was a really good goal, but we just never got going. We never got into the game. You know, Balk is out now, so we ended the game with a right back and a centre midfielder playing centre half. You got a young kid who's been out on loan and played 20 games in the first half of the season. We bring him back, and then, you know, if ever there was a game for the lad to be thrown in, it was that game, wasn't it? Surely, but he didn't. So I'm really struggling to find a positive out of the whole thing, really, and the fans were as spiky as ever. Even in the upper tier, you've now got people really getting a go and starting to fall out with each other. So yeah, it was an absolutely thoroughly miserable afternoon, Nick. So thanks for asking. Really appreciate it.
Oh, brilliant! When it's upper tier joining in, you know it's bad, don't you?
You do,
You don't get much up there, do you? Normally.
Oh.
Dean Ball, evening lads, evening Dean. Rivethead, positive. You must be joking. Well, there ain't going to be much positivity, and there ain't going to be much joking. Unfortunately, we'll do our best. But Feathers McGraw, evening. Killer nowhere to be seen after Wiles drops out of a sneaker. He'll be on, mate. Don't worry. He's here. Look, he's
come back.
He's come back. Here he is, Ian. None of that, matey. Yeah, Feathers McGraw said Posh played some nice slick football, and you know they've got very young side, a bit of pace about them. But Andy, that it set the tone early where I think it was Eden got down that left hand side and just blitzed the pace. Then Cipriano gets a great chance after Kasuma, I think, misplaces a pass in midfield, and really it's straight at Nichols, but really an half decent shot that's in the back of the net, and we really struggle with it, don't we? With particularly any pace down the flanks, and they just cut us wide open, and it almost seemed inevitable that we were going to concede.
Yeah, it was always coming on it. I'm just the one positive from the day for me is hearing about Gazza's perfect Saturday morning routine. It sounds grand, little walk.
Honestly, mate, it's 15 years in. It's great.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. But that is the only thing. There wasn't any sort of falling out. I didn't think there was much falling out in the cowshed. It was just apathy. Fair play to Cowshed Law yesterday. I know it's sort of going off topic a bit, but I thought they absolutely tried to get somewhat going. But because everybody's so bored by what they're seeing in front of us, and nobody's taking the risk to turn possibly into a bit of traffic and try and press forward. When you've got a side that they drew us on, and I thought they're going to mess up here because they've messed up in the away game. I wasn't there, but you could see them passing the ball, and surely League One at one stage they're going to make a mistake. But we never seemed to have anything that was a good enough press to force them into an error. I mean, Jed Steers has had the easiest game he's ever had at the John Smith Stadium. He irritated me because he applauded their fans and didn't put that on your way. Then he's giving it all this, right? So he got some jip to Jed Steer, bless him. But that's the only jip he got up there because we caused him no bother whatsoever. In terms of their chances, because they were that far end, weren't they, for the first half? So apart from the excellent goal, they could have made us suffer a bit more. The thing for me was that Sorensen was so confused by what was going in front of him for the entire game. I saw something I'd never seen before, which was two Town players take a throw in at the same time on the same pitch. What's that all about? Sorensen's throwing it back, and there's somebody 20 yards further up the line, probably Ollie Turton, throwing it forward. I've never seen that before. And that's just how we messed up the kickoff routine because thankfully it didn't go back to Nichols to launch it like it normally does. I hope someone's going to... There's a move on, lads. And we messed that up. So who's to blame? Blame's a bit of a strong word for me because I genuinely don't think they're not trying. I don't think anybody in there is not trying. Cartwright, Duff, the coaching staff, the team, they're definitely putting sweat on the shirt, which is one of Duff's main objectives, one of his main values. But they're just completely bereft of any sort of confidence or flair. We've got so many players that are so like each other. Like the two defensive midfielders, I'm thinking, well, who do we start? Is it Evans? He obviously doesn't think Evans is going to be fit enough to play 90 minutes. So at some stage, Hogg and Kasuma are going to have to play together. So is he thinking, right, we just get a foothold in the game and then we bring on Evans second half to play with a bit of flair? But even then, Evans, I thought, was was blows going into him and it was coming back. There was never a turn and let's get on. And yeah, apart from some profligate, there was one I think it was Mother Silly. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the guy's name correctly. They looked every time they broke second half like they were going to score, and there was one that he messed up that he really should have done better with, and it could and should have been probably 2 or 3-0. They were that much better than us, faster, stronger. A lot of gamesmanship, a lot of falling over. 17 fell over like he'd brought on his back. A sniper had taken him out, and the next thing he's up and running around. So we got taught a lesson off the pitch by Darren Ferguson and on the pitch by their players. So an abject day at the John Smiths. And like I said last week, I'm not a booer. I didn't boo, I won't boo, just walked out. And that's what I guess we'll continue to do until something changes. If it does change, I cannot imagine that Duff will go. I don't see the point in that. I don't know who they're going to bring in. I don't think Cartwright will go. Because what's the point in that? They can't do anything. They can't sign anybody. Tried to look at the list of free agent centre halves. Sean Morrison's on there, who's about nearly as old as me and Gaz, I think, and is the centre half that knows the club. I looked at B team today, and I couldn't, apart from Lloyd Keane, I don't know where Luke Daly plays. Charlie Knowles, Amari Mishru, Aaron O'Reilly, and Iko Solomon. I think he's out on loan. Actually, Solomon's out on loan at Harrogate Town, isn't he? We've only got 6 defenders. There's nothing coming through from the B team because another thing. Sorry, I'm on a bit of a rant about it. Duff clearly doesn't trust youth. Neo Eccleston brought back my lad Tommy Openda, not given chances. Lloyd Keane, if there was ever a message to be sent out to a young player that I don't rate you, that happened on Saturday, and that for me is disgraceful.
Yeah.
How on earth do you expect to grow your own players if you don't give them a chuffing chance in a game that's absolutely nailed on to give them an opportunity? Sorry, I've gone completely off topic there, so sorry. Sorry, Nick.
All right, no.
Building up beside me that.
Just Andy was saying the game were crying out for somebody to do something different. To be honest, the game's crying out for people just to pass the fucking ball to each other. That's 3 games in a row now. Hogg and Kasumu have played together, and it's 3 games that have been typified by the midfield constantly giving the ball away. I would expect if Kasumu or Hogg are playing, it's going to be really dull. It's going to be backwards. It's going to be sideways. It's going to be backwards. Well, they couldn't even do that. I mean, Hogg gave the ball away after about 5 minutes for a corner. The chance you were on about, Nick, Kasumu gave that ball away, and that was a simple 5-yard pass to Sorensen. I think that's the thing with me is we don't need to be worrying about flair. We need to worry about just passing the fucking ball to each other at the minute.
Yeah,
I think they're trying, aren't they? Well, they're trying our patience. They're trying. They're already trying, aren't they? Daz, 2608, evening, guys. Evening, Daz. Nice to see you, mate. Jersey Terrier don't quite agree with you, Andy. He's on the sweat on the shirts thing. Maybe because we started auctioning them off, maybe we want to keep them nice and fresh for people. Maybe that's what it is.
But
a bit of an own goal, disgrace of a performance, says Jersey Terrier. Andy Inchcliffe. Evening, guys. Evening, Anthony. Had to leave early yesterday because my blood was boiling. Well, I don't think you've been the only one, Anthony. Rivet Head. I'm so shocked the academy hasn't come through with the amount of injuries we've had this season. Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, here he is. Here he is. A minute. Let's get him on. There he is.
The nut roast himself.
Let's just change. We've changed. Yeah, there we go. That'll do. Evening, Ian.
All right. How are we doing, boys? We okay? We recovered. Have we had a nice little opening 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Regathered to go again.
We've got all the positivity out the way, mate. Now, just warming up. But yeah, we're just. It's so bad, isn't it? I don't know where to begin. Really, we talk about the goal. Odo crosses to Cipriano. First of all, Sorensen, there's no attempt to close out that cross. There's no attempt to get in the way of it or do anything. It's a good ball in because he's been given so much space. But who's marking Cipriano? There's nobody within 2 miles of him. It's just a simple header with nobody there. It's awful, isn't it? It's awful defending. I couldn't believe that when I saw that. What was happening there, Gaz?
It was another one of these where we just made error after error. The ball was popped into the centre circle, and our big number 7, his mother size, whatever his name was, he dropped off, tidy little ball around the corner to Cipriani, who then pinged across field. So this guy stood on the halfway line, right? He then sets off jogging. He jogs past the left back. He then jogs past Tumu. Hogg decides he's not even going to look behind him to check that he's there. Ruffles has then decided to come around, but doesn't bother closing the bloke down. He just watches him literally wander into the 12-yard box, and 18-yard box, 12-yard out. He had an absolutely free header. I mean, he's walked. He didn't even sprint, by the way, did Cipriani, if you watch the replay. The bloke jogs. I mean, it's a great goal from their point of view because the interplay to get it out to him is really nice. A brilliant crossfield ball and an absolutely brilliant cross, by the way.
Cross.
The ball is
Yeah.
an absolute crack. But, to be able to wander all that way into that box without anybody picking you up, it's just criminal, isn't it?
And then, Ian, second half, you think we've been stung there right before half time, but Town have come out second halves better. Traditionally, we've turned it on a little bit to try and get back into the game, but it was just more of the same. Peterborough just sat our line. They knew we didn't have the pace to get in behind, and Posh basically just counter-attacked. And I mean, there's at least 2 chances that we had a 3-on-3 situation where first one, Steer bowls it out, quick counter-attack. Ricky J. Jones goes through, and it's a good chance to get that. Should have been 2-0. And then later, there was another counter-attack with a 3-on-3, which Nichols had to save for Modo. It's just any kind of pace just completely carves us through like butter. From a tactics point of view, Ian, what do we do about this, right? Because it's happening game after game here.
Oh, I don't know, Nick. At this point, honestly, I think that second half was, all things considered, the worst I can remember in recent memory. Of course, it's not going to be the worst ever. We've had Swansea capitulation a couple of years ago and stuff like that. We've had bad moments, but expectations going into the game and knowing Peterborough, 2 points out of 10 games before this, right? They're about as shite an away team as you get in this league. They are the shitest. I think they've got joint worst form with Cambridge over the last 10 games going into it. And yeah, we've been shit at home. And I know I'm going back over a little bit as I've joined late, but we've been shite at home. But even us surely should have had enough to be able to dictate some sort of game. I didn't expect us to win it at a canter. I thought, of course, it's going to be it's always a bit of a toughie, no matter who we playing in this division. But to get thoroughly outplayed from the first minute to the last by a team as poor as Peterborough is embarrassing for everybody involved at Town. It really is. It's one thing losing 1-0 at home against a team bottom of the league when it's a smash and grab kind of thing. I tweeted about this yesterday. In that you have those games. That's what makes football exciting. In that it's not the best. Rugby league kind of down on its arse in certain places because, in my opinion, it's a bit predictable. You don't get your low teams that suddenly put in a performance where they've been battered all game but win it in the last second. That doesn't happen in rugby league, but it does in football. It's just more. I just can't believe the way it went. In that we started shite, we got to half time shite, and we're expecting a bit of a bounce back. And it was no better. Like you say, Nick, if anything, Peterborough probably should have extended the lead in the second half with the amount of breakaway chances they had. But then when you would end up with Kasumu and Turton playing as centre-backs, what do you expect? I feel like yesterday was a bit of a turning point in this season. And now, obviously, before the season began, I had doubts, as many of us did here, on how good Town were and where we'd get as the season progressed and where we'd finish. And I was quite wrong in that we started much better than I thought we were going to start. But we find ourselves now in this unbelievable situation where Kasumu and Turton are playing centre-back for the first team in a game against Peterborough. And to be honest, boys, it's not even their fault we lost the game. That's the thing that gets me. It's all right saying, I can't believe we've got Turton. Yeah, and we did have a few 3-on-3s. But to be fair to them, Nick, we didn't concede when those two went to centre-back. It's the rest of them. It's the rest of them up top. And I was looking a little bit on the stats before, and Fred Ladapo has been a laughing stock for everybody. Dion Charles has played the same amount of minutes and has got exactly the same amount of goals and the exact same amount of assists as Fred Ladapo has for Town. 0. None. Nothing. Yeah, okay. Charles actually kind of created something when he passed it into Evans, I think, the other night on the Sorensen pass down at Shrewsbury. But we've just got so many people, so many individuals not performing. And now, having seen that second half, to me, I feel the season's gone. And I know that's really, really early. But do you know, like when they have elections and they have, as soon as they walk out, they've not counted all the votes yet, but the Sky News normally say, oh, we're going to call it for X, Y, or Z, whatever. I feel that's kind of what you can do at the moment, because the resilience shown by this side is probably stood up okay, considering how many injuries that we have up until now. But I were at Shrewsbury Tuesday, and it was a good win in an average performance. Cheers, Andy, for tickets, mate. You kind of did me a favour, but not really. You probably should have kept it, so I didn't have to go. I'm going to Wigan again this week, because I'm not stupid. If I'm there, we might do better. But we just find ourselves in the injuries have just taken so much of a toll. Now we just can't even play football. There's so many holes filled by square pegs in round holes. And then, like yesterday, what really got me, it's a 4-4-2. We've suddenly gone to 4-4-2, and I don't know where this sudden change to 4-4-2's come from. Nobody wanted a 4-4-2, they want a back four. But surely just play with a 4-3-3, right? With your central guy, because you've got Chirewa, you've got Karoma. They lend themselves, right, to playing a front three. That's surely what we should be going with. We've not. We've gone 4-4-2, and we looked average at best attacking. We've taken Ben Wiles, who was, Feathers has called him out. He's been shy because he's playing as a winger. He's not a winger. He's not a wide man. What are you playing him as a wide man for? He's done all his damage down the middle in the 10. We don't play Evans because we're worried that if Evans and Wiles are playing together, they both come to each other the spaces. But now we've got Wiles out wide right doing absolutely nothing, getting battered, because him and Sorensen yesterday, that first 45 minutes, it were reminiscent a little bit of Edwards at Leeds again, wasn't it? It was just like time and time and time again. You're like, what is going on, boys? What the fuck are we missing about that? I just cannot believe what happened yesterday. I can't believe it, because having watched Peterborough a few times for the driving on the other podcast that I do, I've seen 3 of the last 5 games, more or less all of them, and they're awful. They're shocking. They're absolutely shocking. And we've made them look like they should be challenging for the top 6. That's the reality of what happened on Saturday. So anyone dreaming, thinking we can change it now in regards to Duff, which I'm sure we'll come on to later on, this team's unpromotable at the moment as it is. And looking at the injury list that we have, if the injuries are as bad as we are led to believe in regards to what Lee's now potentially in this season, I think, and then Bolker, who knows, and like Lonvic's not fit yet, all these issues. If what we have yesterday is what we have every game for the end of the season, we are going to struggle to win many games. Now, that changes everything from where I was just before this game. I thought before it would put a performance in, because it's been due on it, boys. We've all been sat thinking, this is the one we're going to turn up. This is the one we're going to start quickly. And actually what's happened is we've served out and dished out the worst second half I can remember in such a long time, just because we didn't offer anything. 0 shots on target. Steve made no saves all game at home against a team 24th in the league when it comes to away form. Huddersfield Town, 5th in the league, trying to get promoted, trying to chase down the top 2. Didn't even get a shot on target. Didn't even make him make a save. It's embarrassing.
Absolutely shocking, and just looks sluggish, unfit, stretched thin. I think where we are, it's a damning indictment of the recruitment, that the fact that we've got so many injuries, we're so light. I mean, who would have thought we'd be in this situation defensively now? It's looking like the decision to sell Hellett was madness, although you could say there's some real bad luck in that with the amount of players and that we had and the injuries. But nothing about this screams a team that's in. How the fuck are we 5th at this moment in time? Nothing about this screams a team that's in the playoffs with even a sniff of promotion, does it? Everything from the way the team's playing, they're not playing like a team. They look like a set of individuals that don't know what they're doing half the time. The atmosphere in the stands, a disconnect between the fans and the team. Everyone's shouting at each other. There's falling out between the fans. It's absolute chaos. And it's just, I mean, spare a thought for Aina, because as you said, Andy, earlier, if he can't get on the pitch in a game like that that's dead and buried, I mean, Duff himself said we never look like coming back and winning it. Well, we might as well put him on then. Yeah, the lad on, give him a chance. To not put him on there, I don't understand that. I don't understand what we're hoping to achieve by that at all. Look weird to me.
It feels like forever ago, doesn't it? Since the 15th of January when we'd signed Charles after signing Taylor a few days earlier, and everybody's going, let's get after Wickham, let's get after Wrexham, let's get after Birmingham, and since that day we've looked absolutely shocking. We haven't strung more than 20 minutes together in any individual one game, which is the bit that really frustrates me. But the reason we're 5th, Nick, is this league is absolutely dumb. I mean, the quality in this league is so bad. A team that's as dysfunctional as Huddersfield are have managed to have a 16-game unbeaten run and currently are 5th in the league. But we're looking over our shoulder. You've got Leighton Orient, Bolton and Charlton all breathing down our neck, who incidentally are 1st, 3rd and 5th in the form tables. So that don't make me feel like we're about to suddenly pull it out of the bag. I still think we'll win some games. I do, because we've got some individuals who are better than most of the players in League One. In Karoma, you've got a player who's Championship level, haven't you? You should have Taylor, but no news in it. Where the fucking hell is he? Anybody know where he is?
Fuck knows. It said 2 weeks initially on the promo video or whatever bollocks that was, and then it came out maybe it's 4 weeks / 6 weeks, and now how many weeks has it been? So it should be on the grass, or it's the same thing they always come out. He's on the grass, but he's not playing with us. He's on the grass, but he's on his own. What? Just get him playing. What's going on?
Has he got lost or something?
Where is he? Has he gone down park or somewhere? Where is he?
He's walking around canal side looking for some ground.
I do wonder, whether Duff's being overruled on some of this stuff. We always use the story of Danny Ward, don't we? Warnock ringing him up. Are you playing him? Are you playing, lad? Yeah, I'll play, Gaffer. I do wonder whether there's an element of that, and some of these guys are ready to play and want to play, but we're being ruled by fucking statisticians and fucking data collectors rather than by a manager or the individual who knows their own body. It's you listen to Matt Glennon on Radio Leeds. He's pulling his hair out with it, and he's closer to this than we are. So my guess is he knows. And he's already bemoaning the fact that we've got players who probably could play and they don't play them. But we're down to the bare bones, down to the absolute bare bones now, aren't we? In terms of all that money spent, all them players signed. We've got more injuries than you can shake a stick at, and we're playing with we're playing centre back. We've got a fucking centre midfielder and Ollie Turton.
Fucking brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. I thought on Tuesday night, honestly, guys, I thought I was going to end up in Zorb at Wigan at half time. I'll be fucking playing. I'll be bringing my boots, doing a shift at centre back. I'll tell you what, though, the thing that gets me is David Kasuma's the only guy that we've got, right, that can transition at all from the defensive line through the midfield a little bit. He's the only one. Johnny Ogg has played centre back for us in times before when Corbyn was here, when we got to play. And it's Kasuma we put at centre back as well. Like, there's just so many things. And now, in coaches' tenures at football clubs, I always think there's a moment where everything changes, where you can, oh no, that's when he did. Like when Darren Moore did it when he took the subs off against Ipswich. He took off Nakayama, were it? And who else did he bring off? Karoma, I think Karoma. I can't remember. He brought 2 off anyway. And it just changed the game when ended drawing when we should have won that game. And from then on out, it was just everything felt a bit weird. And with Duff on Saturday, honestly, some of the decisions we make, we are limited, like you say. And I do think, guys, maybe that's an element of it, and maybe it's a bit of a protest thing, like playing people in certain positions to make the most of what we don't have. But even bringing we're 1-0 down at home, and we've still brought Wiles off. Oh, yeah, we're terrible in that first half, right? But he scored as many goals as anybody else in the team. He assists, and we didn't actually I never felt we really went at it to get back into the game anyway. There were so many elements of it that I didn't understand. And as a football coach myself, again, nowhere near this level at all. But generally, when I'm watching football, I think 9 times out of 10, I understand what somebody's trying to do. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. Like, keep on trying Bojan Radulovic. I did understand it. I thought it was a wrong decision, but I could fathom what they were trying to do. But these things with Town now that happen on Saturday that I just don't get. Never mind find Joe Taylor. I just want one fucking man in midfield to come show for the ball. That's all we need. No one shows. There's no passing. And we're smashing it long all the time to our strikers. It's nonsensical. And now, to me, some of it has to be down to tactical approach from Michael Duff, because it's unexcused. It just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe I'm missing something, but the results are suggesting that I'm not. In that it's something very wrong. But there's no real impetus to go and get back in the game, and that's what I felt like on Saturday. It felt like we were just kind of like, oh well, we'll just focus on Tuesday a little bit at home. Like we can't. I don't know what happened, but it felt like something happened in that game that I don't think we've cottoned on yet exactly what it is.
What did he take Chilua off at half time for, by the way? Because there's been no feedback he was injured, and he was the only one that like you were interested in trying to go fucking forward with the ball. But he got the positive.
Well. It wasn't oofball enough, so we thought we'd better take him off. I don't know. Just fucking dire, innit? It's the average height's 5'4". I've said it again. We're playing oofball. Why? It's got to be tactics. And
Well, is it a 3-5-2 thing?
I don't know.
Sorry.
No, go on, Andy.
Is that because that's his system, Duff's system? That's the only one that he really knows how to play. I don't know, because like the first half of the season when he's playing that, from pre-season on, you could see what we were trying to do. I mean, we're almost like it was just a back three, and we got two wingers and three central midfielders in a nice little shape in the middle. And Sorensen and Miller were just wingers, and we were going to try and get down the outside and get crosses in. And now that doesn't appear to be an option, it's like we don't really know what to do. You could see him drop into 4-4-2 on Saturday, particularly second half, and you're just thinking, well, where's you need for 4-4-2, and I'm not a tactician at all, but I think you need a bigger and a little up front if you're gonna work off that, and then your wingers get round the side and you get some crosses in. But if you said to us, what we know that Peterborough are going to do what they did with the ball, they're going to draw you on, pass it around at the back, and try and then break quickly on you. That's their identity. That's what they do. What's ours? What do we do? What are we trying to do with that football? We oofed it for the first 15 on last Saturday at Barnsley. That's not our identity. But at least we're trying to do something. We just
Duff played over 400. Duff played over 400 league games. You can't tell me he don't fucking understand a formation other than 5-3. He must have played in every myriad of formation. He was a midfielder and then a centre half. So he must have played in them. I don't, he's an experienced international footballer who played at the highest level. Surely he's got it fucking within him to set a team up for 90 minutes for a professional game. Because if he hadn't, they definitely need to bin him off, don't they?
Well, not only that, he's an experienced manager. Got promotion with Charlton. He did all right with Barnsley. Took him to playoff final. He's got experience, hasn't he? It's not like he's no experience managing. So I just, it's soul destroying. It's soul destroying watching it, because it's not even that we're playing badly, but there's no visible signs of any improvement or tactical astuteness in game to change things around. There's no reaction to what's going on the pitch. It's like, this is the only way that we know, and we'll just continue to do it, even when the game's just turning to ash. It's dying a death. And we just kind of, there was no, I mean, he said it himself, there were no way we're getting back into that game. So why not try something different, something radical, just to try something, just to make something happen. But no, it's just play the same, ride it out. Everyone goes home miserable. I don't know. I mean, the guy to me is, I think he's under pressure, and you could hear from his interviews. His interviews when he first came in were nice, calm, collective, been there, done that. And now he looks haggard to me. He looks downbeat. It looks broken in some of the answers to his questions. And there's been a lot of bad luck with injuries. Of course there has. It's ridiculous, our injury situation. But that team there that we started with is more than enough to trouble a Peterborough side that have conceded every game, pretty much, that haven't kept a clean sheet all season, and they're absolute cannon fodder for most of the league. And we never laid a glove on them. And that's just unforgivable when we're gunning for promotion at home. We haven't scored a goal yet at home all year. It's awful. Absolutely disgusting. And like I say, I wasn't at the game, so I asked my old man, because he goes pretty much every week, and if you think I'm fucking miserable, get a load of this. But he knows what he's talking about, so I thought I'll get another perspective, because I'm trying to get as many different perspectives. So just have a listen to this. So this is his reaction from watching it, and I guess it kind of mirrors what you guys have said anyway. But see what he has to say.
Well, that was probably the worst Huddersfield Town performance, not only of this season, but that I've seen for a long, long time. So many things wrong with it. Where do you start? Start with the formation. Everybody thought it was going to be 4-4-2. That's the way it was put out on social media. Turned out to be a 4-1-2, go where you want, one up front and Karoma. The players obviously weren't comfortable with it. They didn't understand it. They didn't seem to know what they were doing. It was like they'd all turned up at 11 o'clock in the morning, drawn lots for where they were going to play, and then sent out on the pitch. In terms of individual performances, they were flat-footed, passes were sloppy, they were passing to players, not passing to where players were running onto. They weren't supporting each other. They were trying to play in little areas, little pockets of the field, in little triangles, instead of stretching Peterborough as much as possible. And Peterborough just soaked it up. It was so packed in midfield that we just couldn't get out. And when we tried to play it wide, we just had no runners available. Peterborough tried to play us on the counter-attack. They got pace. Little Udo down the wing can do, 100 metres in 11 seconds? We can do 100 metres if there's a bus due, maybe. We just looked so unfit, off the pace. At times it was embarrassing the way that Peterborough just carved us open. And if their decision making had been better, especially in the second half, that would have been 3-4-0, no problem. Where do you go from there? Well, they started off with the bare bones of a team, and they've ended up with half a skeleton, I'm afraid. When you've got players who are picking up injuries just because they've had to run 50 yards in a straight line, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. They look devoid of ideas. At times, they just did not know where to go. There were no options. There was no running off the ball. There was no running into space. Peterborough allowed them to just compress into midfield, and there was just no way out. And I'm afraid that on that performance, I would be very surprised if they even hold on to a playoff place. I think it's going to be another season in League One, and the worry is that there'll be a massive clear out, a massive investment in League One players, rather than, as should have happened, going up, having a clear out, and then investing in Championship players. It's going to be a long old season.
But other than that, tickety-boo.
Hey,
Right.
Nick, there's no need for a DNA test there, is there? He's got his very efficient disposition, just like yourself.
Now you know where it comes from. But he's right. It's just shit, innit? It's awful. And look, there were boos at half-time and full-time, accordingly. Duff said the atmosphere was flat. Well, no shots on target against a side that conceded every game and hadn't kept a clean sheet all season. It's hardly going to be Mardi Gras, is it? But the players obviously don't look like they enjoy playing at home. I think that's evident in the body language, and we look scared half the time. I don't know why, because the professional footballers, you just blank out and get on with it. But it seems to be a real stumbling block at home. Are all these boos justified? I mean, I've seen some of the videos put out on social media at full time, particular, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was there was a tinge of aggression behind the boos. It wasn't, there's obviously a lot of passion there still in the fans. We all care, and obviously everyone has a right to vent frustration. But is this helping guys with the right to boo? Andy, I know you don't, mate, but Gaz, what do you think?
Well, I'm like Andy, I'm not a booer either, but you pay your money, you take your choice. I mean, Duff was very defensive in his post-match, wasn't he? He kept telling us we're fifth. Well, fucking yeah, but as he pointed out, I think I could have got that team fifth, and I'm not a professional football manager. So, that being fifth in that league isn't that much of an achievement, I'm afraid. But yeah, he does look, he's starting to look like a man under pressure. He's creaking. The problem you've got is you get rid of Duff. I don't matter who you bring in, you still got to try and deal with this bunch of spineless shirkers, haven't you? That's the problem. Most of them really, when the going gets tough, they just don't get going. They're absolutely crumbling under the slightest of pressures yet again, and that's why they can probably play away from home, because those that go to the away games are generally the harder core. They're the ones that stick it out through thin and thinner, as we tend to do, and they don't have the pressure. But let's be honest, it's hardly the San Siro, is it? For fuck's sake, I can't, if they're crumbling under that pressure. And you have to question their mindset as professional footballers. But I just, we've got, when I look at the next home games we've got, I honestly don't know where the next goal, let alone points, coming from at home, which is a worry. And we're not going to get into the playoffs with away wins only. Not enough.
I think they've been lucky with the boos. It's been so shit for so long. To say it's only amping up now is kind of quite ridiculous, realistically. Like you say, no goals in Stockport at home. It's ridiculous. It's the football doesn't beget any atmosphere. Honestly, on Tuesday night at Shrewsbury, it was the same. First half, and that was away hardcore, dead. No atmosphere at all. The football was down the other end of the pitch, but very little was going on it until the drum turned up second half, and then the drum kind of got everyone going a little bit. And I do swear the fans dragged the team over the line because there was nothing else going on. The thing is with Duff, it's where I sit with Duff at the moment. I think the football's shit. I don't like his tactics, and I haven't from day one. I've been very, very open about that. But I think we've got to a point now where you can't really point the finger at him entirely because, yeah, the football's shite, and it was always shite, but the injuries are ridiculous. And you have to look at why we've got so many injuries because this isn't normal. The club have admitted it's not normal, and that's why they've had a change when it comes to head of performance. So I kind of feel that protects Duff a little bit in that you're not in a position now where you can do anything anyway, even if the club wanted to. Because, who wants to come back in after? Who are we going to go get now? Duff was supposedly interviewed before we brought in Brighton, right? Wasn't he? I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And we went back then to get him second time round. We're like a bit of a basket case when it comes to how we deal with managers and stuff. Duff's here for the long haul. This isn't like when Lee Clark was in charge, where you could see we were underperforming with the players on the pitch. You could see after the Millwall playoff game, Lee Clark changed his approach entirely, and we looked lesser of a team, even though we have the same players. It's not like that, where a fresh impetus is going to get us up. I don't think we're at that point at all. Or if we are, I think it'd be unfair to get rid of Duff at this point because there are so many injuries that even the club themselves have put down to not being his fault, right? So you can't get anyone else anyway, even if you wanted to, because A, we look ridiculous. And then B, we all know when most people are putting these boos. These boos, I still don't think are aimed at Michael Duff. We know that. These boos are aimed at other people from above Michael Duff. And like, I feel a bit for Duff, to be honest, when he got wheeled in the other day into the Q&A session when he had to answer why we didn't get a 6'6" striker. But like he was talking about an ex-lover when he going, we all want 6'6" strikers, but we can't get them. And then every press conference since it's like, well, we don't have a 6'6" strike. We want one. Get us one. Someone bring us something in so we've got some sort of change of pace. I just think the recruitment is the issue this season. I think it comes down as simply to that. It's the recruitment that's the problem. So if you get rid of Duff now, does that protect the current recruitment staff for the next 18 months until the next manager makes a mess of it? That would be a worry for me anyway. So if it came down to do I think Duff should go or not? No, he should 100% stay, because I think if you got rid of him but not other things, then it's a bigger issue. We're going to have to sit through this for even longer. But it's just so shit, and people have got a right to boo. It's frustrating. And again, when the communication comes out at the beginning of the season that we're going to be challenging for the top two, we're definitely not. The money's being spent on players, but the players aren't the right kind of players. The stuff I don't understand. One of the things that's really frustrated me this season is the signing of like Dion Charles, a bit like Freddie Ladapo as well. We've brought in players that other teams think aren't good enough anymore. Bolton wouldn't have got rid of Dion Charles if they thought he was a 30-goal season striker and could still offer what he did a couple of years ago. That would be stupid, especially with the amount of money we paid for him. But Town think that we can get extra value out of players that we know better, and we can get them in the system and they'll work for us. And it's failed with Bojan. It's failed with Freddie Ladapo after we've been watching him all summer. And with Dion Charles at the moment, it's failing. It may not, and he might come good. Obviously, he's got 9 goals already this season for Bolton. I really hope he does. But so far, the trending is similar to Bojan and Freddie. None of this at all is on Michael Duff. And I feel at this point actually quite sorry for him, even though the football he's playing, I think, is really, really crap. And I think we could do better, but not enough to warrant a change at this point.
The football's dire, but I mean, Rivethead's put there. Stuart Webber spent $1.5 million on Schindler, and he scored a penalty worth 300 mil. Cartwright spent 1.5 mil on a Chris Packett that scored twice. I mean, has Dion Charles had a shot on target yet since he's been here? Because I don't think I'm trying to think of the time that he's had.
If you count that second touch on the way through on Saturday at Oakwell, if you count that as a shot, that would have gone in if there'd been no goalkeeper there to pick it up. That's the only time I can remember him propelling the ball in the general direction of the goal.
It's terrible.
I said in our internal communication channel that I'm not sure feel like I can add any value to what Killer and Gaz are already saying here. I completely agree.
I know.
He's got to
think back to the last time. Think back to the last time we were in League One, and you look at that team. And I know we spent relatively big bucks at that point. Well, so was our mate Mr. Nagel, right? He spent big bucks. I look back at that team, and I know people are going to go, "Oh, yeah, well, they didn't get us promoted either." Well, I fucking enjoyed watching it. There was Pilkington, there was Roberts, even Rhodes and Novak and Cadamartri, and even people like Andy Kay and Sean Morrison. People that when you saw them play, they fucking put a shift in. They gave everything in the game, and that team ultimately fell short. But I felt a connection with those boys. I felt like they give a shit. I felt like they were earning their wages every week. Compare that to this lot. And everything's relative, right? So what they were paid and what they were paid, what we spent for them compared to what we pay now and what we paid for the players we've got now, it's much more. But it was everything's relative. But I don't see what the recruitment. I don't see what we've tried to achieve. I can't see a blend. I can't see a shape. I can't see you can complain about what Dean used to do: buy him young, sell him, buy him cheap, sell him. I can't see a strategy. It's like watching a game of Football Manager in real life. Sorry, Andy, I've gone off. It was my turn to go.
No, you're right.
But
there doesn't seem to. What's the identity that they were trying to recruit towards? Must have been Duff's preferred style. So when you're asking players that you've recruited for one system to then play in another one, it's relatively recently we've made the switch from be it 4-3-3 to or 4-4-2, whichever version we're playing. Is that part of it? But he said expressly a couple of times they haven't done what he's asked them to do. So like the kickoff move, we're picking a one-time thing on Saturday. They didn't execute that kickoff move. They didn't execute what they'd asked them to do on the in the first half at Barnsley. Why? Well, is it because they don't really know what they're supposed to do? So who's the other guys in the backroom staff? There's Patterson. There's Russell. Yeah. What's happening off the pitch in the time between the games that is going to get them to a point where they can understand how their roles have changed from 3-5-2 into what they're doing now? And I think it's the injuries aren't helping. It's the lazy attitude. I don't know whether you mean me, Stephen, or whether you mean the players. I genuinely don't. I don't think so, because you don't get to that level of elite sport. And you might laugh about league. It's elite sport, and you do not get to that level with by being lazy. So I don't get that one. Are they working? Yeah, but are they working? Do they know where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do? I don't think that switch has yet flicked for them in terms of the change of style. And then
Wiles looked lost, didn't he, on that?
Yeah, like Killer said, he's not a winger, is he?
There's a bloke behind me going, "What do you fucking do all week?" And he's got a point. You can't get the ball past the front fucking man on a corner.
Thing is, though, boys, this is where I think I differ from everybody else. I think the lineup we put out against Peterborough isn't a playoff lineup anyway. You can say it was an awful second half, and we've got to offer more than what we did. But if you go through the actual squad itself, Nichols, championship quality, yeah. Sorensen left an average Lincoln team, and they believe they replaced better, right? So we can't pretend Sorensen's an amazing player that's dropped down to this level. You've got Balker, who I think's a little bit soft physically. Lomvik's never a centre-back in a million years for me. I think he's a left-back, maybe a left centre-back in a back three, but he's got issues. There's issues in his gameplay. He turns off defensively. He's not great positionally. Ruffles, League One player every day of the week. Ben Wiles played mainly in the League One for his entire career. You know how much I like him, but still, he's not an absolute world beater. Probably on paper a championship player with Nichols and Karoma later on. But then you've got Hogg, who's old and he can't do it all game. For the goal, by the way, I'm not entirely sure if it's Kasuma or Hogg who doesn't follow the man, but neither of them look like they do what they should be doing to cover it. Chirewa was at Derby on loan, lower part of the championship, and goes down as one of their worst ever signings. You've got Callum Marshall up top that scores a bit, but you can tell he's young and on loan and not realistically ready to start 46 games this season. With Karoma, who's a winger. You can't sit here saying this team's good enough to get promoted out of this division. You can't. Or I can't. I can't say that. And then within a few minutes, Balker's off injured and Turton's on centre-back. This team's not good enough to get promoted. I don't think anyone could come in and do better with it. So it's not just lazy attitudes and all this kind of stuff. I think the players we're putting out on the pitch on Saturday weren't good enough to beat them. And it's all right. I know we're laughing and I'm going back on myself here a little bit. Peterborough are still a League One team. They've still got assets and weapons that they can try and do things with. I don't think we can. I don't think we have them. And if we did have them, we took one off on at half-time with Chirera, like you say, guys. So it's just, I think we're all a little bit delusional of how good our team is individually. And actually, is Duff making them better than they actually are when I'm actually talking myself into Duff being best manager in the league at this point, going through every individual. But with no Tom Lees, that defence is weak. That is a very, very weak defence in this division. Just because we spent money on Bolka, it doesn't mean he's fantastic. We spent money on Bojan Radulovic, and that hasn't worked out. But of those four defenders, none of them are great defensively for me. And Peterborough made the most of it because they should have been ahead at half-time by more than one.
Oh, it should have been 2 or 3-0. We've plenty of weapons, Ian. The problem is they're all behind the fucking scenes, aren't they? Not on
Well,
the
that's
pitch.
Gaz saying there's no blends. There's plenty of blends, guys. There's loads of blends in this football team. You were mentioning earlier on you can't see formation or anything else. There's too many, guys.
It's terrible. And James Murgatroy's put here, we've got a basketball player on loan at Newport, but in typical Town fashion, he's injured, mate. So unfortunately, we're not going to be. And Bojan's picked up an injury. The curse extends beyond the football club. Unfortunately, it's a joke. So I mean, that brings me to my next talking point, guys. And in terms of who's to blame, and we've already had a little bit of a discussion, haven't we? But I put a poll out on X for a laugh, just to see what the reaction would be. And just to say, because everyone's got different opinions on it, who's to blame for this mess that we're in? And it is a mess, you know, regardless of being 5th in the league. It's a bit of a shambles on and off the pitch at the moment. Only 100 people answered, but Cartwright, unsurprisingly, come out on top. But only 38%, players 34%, Duff 23%, and then King Kev 5%, which I don't think anyone's really going to put much blame at Kevin Nagel's door when he's put his hand in his pocket. But it shows that actually it's not everybody saying, oh, this is just down to Cartwright. It's a mixture of failings across the board. You know, is it that the players aren't good enough? Is it that they don't trust what Duff's telling them, that they're not doing the actions that he's telling them to do? Are they just not skillfully wise up to it? Are they knackered? Is it because Cartwright's brought the wrong players for Duff's sister that can't do the things that he wants to do? There's so many different variables to this, and I'm just interested, guys, to hear how you guys are going to sort this mess. Who's to blame? What are you going to do for the rest of the season? So if you were in Mr. Nagel's shoes right now, what would you do at this point to try and save this season or look towards next season? Because it's a real conundrum at the moment. Gaz, I'll come to you. Ian's run away scared, maybe anticipating this question. But what's your take on it, Gaz? What would you do? I'll tell you mine at the end, but what would you do, mate?
I think they're so committed to everything now. You know, you're out of the transfer window, so you can't bring anybody in. The last time we brought in a free transfer, that was Ladapo. You know, you can see how that's worked out for us as a club. So that's not really a good idea, is it? You can't fix the injuries now. They're not going to get resolved. They changed the head of performance. And I always still think we've got a load more injuries since he came in. So we haven't changed much. Haven't changed enough quick enough, has it? I think if you're Nagel, I think you've got no choice but to ride this season out. I think you have to trust. You have to trust the judgment you've made, and the judgment he made was this manager, this senior management team, and these players are good enough to get us promoted. He's got no choice but to ride that out. I mean, he's gone very quiet again, and to be honest, it's probably wise for him to keep his head down right now. If there's going to be a judgment day, it'll have to be the end of the season. I can see no value in binning anybody off at this point. Binning Cartwright off, what does it change? Not really. I don't really change anything right now, does it? All it does is bring more instability into a team and setup that's already all over the fucking shop. So, you know, I think if I was in Duff's shoes, I'd be using a bit of siege mentality now. I'd be trying to batten down the hatches. It's us against the world, lads. They don't know what they're talking about. We're 5th in the league. Look what we've done. That's what I'd be doing if I were in his boat. I'd be trying to step a siege mentality. But if you Kev, I don't think you've any other choice but to ride it out, and you'll have to dish out the consequences come the second week of May if we haven't been promoted.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And
I've just been looking at the. I think a lot of the issues that you're absolutely right about the recruitment, and they've come in through Mr. Cartwright. I think now for me, I'd be worried about who's doing the planning for next season. So if Cartwright's still here, then presumably he's doing that. So the conversations will be happening now about, if we get promoted next season, would you be? Those conversations will have started. So presumably it's Cartwright that's running those. But in terms of solving our issue now of getting enough points on the board to get into the playoffs, I don't know how much influence Cartwright has on the culture of the dressing room or the first team squad to be able to say, if you took him out of that, what an impact that would make. So whether we bring in somebody else who's got a different approach to it, a different way of doing things. But for me, that side of things is down to Duff and his team. So I don't think Kevin will remove anybody. I don't see the value of doing that. Duff's been dealt the cards that he's been dealt. I didn't look at I've just done a quick off the top of my head. So muscle injuries I've got at the minute: Balker, Pearson, Taylor. There's probably others to add to this. Contact, so actually injuries in games that you can't legislate for. Lees, Miller, Ruskin, Evans, you could probably argue is still injured, or he was injured by one of our players. And then we've got sort of inherent injuries like that. Tom's injury is stress fracture is back. Nichols' injury was I think a degenerative one. So that so that they're trying to get the injuries on board. So whether we've just been massively unlucky with that, maybe we have. The thing for me that worried about that, as I said, the communication between the people who were analysing the players and then the people that were actually trading them that's a basic error. But I'm like Stevens agree with Gaz and I agree with Gaz. We've stayed up. So Mr. Shepherd, Mr. Positive, we've stayed up already. I don't know how many points we're going to need to get into the playoffs. I don't know traditionally what it is. Are we going to need another 26, 27 points, maybe 82, 83, something like that to get into the playoffs? How many games have we got left? 15. Are we going to average 2 points a game over the next 15? Not playing the way we are at the minute. So I think we're highly likely to fall out of the promotion picture. And then I think Kev will do what Kev does in the summer. But I think the big mistake we've made is keeping a lot of the players that were part of the squad that came down last year. But Birmingham have got a load of money, but they swept the board, and they've reaped the reward for that. So I think that's the big inherent mistake that we've made. Those players that came down were scarred from 2 or 3 seasons of battling against relegation. Apart from the 21-22 season, that's the big mistake. And whether that's at Mr. Cartwright's door, probably. So I think if we don't go up, I think he will pay for it in summer. But now, I just don't see the point. It would be a symbolic thing to do to me, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Here's what I'd do. You're right, Gaz. This season's gone. We're not with the injuries and everything else. I think batten down the hatches, try and ride it out, do us best. I think we've got to mentally prepare ourselves for the fact that it's not a promotion season. And some things have gone against us. The injuries, it's been a bit of a freak season with injuries, but the football's been absolutely turgid. And to be honest, I think we're lucky to have the points we already have, because we've not had one convincing own performance all season to me. Not over the 90 minutes. There's somewhere we've controlled it in patches, but for the vast majority, it's been absolutely awful. Personally, I think Cartwright and the recruitment team, and it is a team, it's not an individual. Cartwright and the recruitment team, they failed last season in bringing the dross in. They failed this season because the players have brought in haven't performed or been injured. Some of them freak injuries, but some of them they've brought in with long injury records, like your Mikel Millers, etc. And surprise, surprise, they're injured. To me, I'm sure Mr. Cartwright's a nice guy, and you never want to see people get the sack. But to me, I would get rid of Cartwright now and the recruitment team now, all of them. I'll get rid of all of them. And that sounds really harsh, But in business, you can't afford to be sympathetic. We're dropping here. We're dropping. We could finish this season 8th, 9th, 10th. We're dropping like a stone. And the problem is, if you wait till the end of the season, we're already into. We have to plan now. We have to plan for the summer now. Not when it starts. We've got to plan now. Get rid of them. Get rid of all the recruitment team now. Get another person in to lead it. I mean, whether that's a Chris Markham or someone like that, find the right person, get a whole new recruitment team in over the next couple of months so we could start planning for the summer. Get rid of every single player that's out of contract, and I include Jonathan Ogg in that, unless he wants to stay in some sort of coaching role, which would be great. Otherwise, thank you very much for all your services, guys, but we need to move on. Replace every single one of the 8 or 9 players that's out of contract. Try and get players with a bit of pace, for God's sake, a bit of physicality. Try and get players who, maybe even a couple of wingers who have a trick in them, who are not afraid to take on a man, get a crossing, who, crazy as it sounds, might actually entertain us once in a while. Give Michael Duff time. If it doesn't work and we're into mid-season and we're not at least 5th in the league, get rid of Duff. If the football's still turgid after all that and it's not working, get rid of him and all and start again, because the problem is, guys, that we're dropping although we're not sinking like a stone, it's a gradual decline that we're seeing here. There's such a disconnect between the fans and the team. The football's dire. We keep getting these promises. I mean, this has been going on for 4 or 5 seasons now. We're promised the world, right? This season's going to be different. We're going to go for it. We're going to stay up, or we're going to be promoted. And season after season, it's just been disappointment, letdowns. We've got to sell season tickets next season at an increased rate. Well, best of luck after that yesterday. Best of luck.
They'll be coming out for sale soon. They won't be so far away, Nick. Will the season ticket renewals? And you're right. I'm just thinking about what you said there. And you're right. I saw a tweet somebody put, sign sick notes. Guess what? You get sick notes. And I think if you go through all of the players that we signed last January, in the summer, and this January, I mean, the track record of those players before they came to Huddersfield Town is horrendous. And as we're already seeing, it's horrendous when they've gone. Bojan's only gone 5 minutes and he's fucking injured. So my guess is when Healy moves on and when Bolker moves on and when these players, Miller moves on, they'll just be injured for the next clubs, because that's what, that's how their bodies are made. Mr. Cartwright sat in front of the media with a smug look on his face, telling us that this might sound daft, but we're in a better position than we were last season. Well, I'm not entirely sure you can. I'm not sure you've not done much to validate that. We talked about signing players who would see us right if we got promoted. How many of the players we've signed are genuine Championship standard players? Taylor might be. I've not seen him. Ask me when I've seen him. But other than him, I can't think of one that we've signed that's a Championship player. People saying that Bolker would be the best defender in the Championship. He couldn't cope with that big fucking donkey Tom Eaves. I mean, he ain't going to cope in Championship, is he? So, and I was thinking about the coaching staff as well. We're talking about the player recruitment. You've got Kevin Russell, who was brought in some weird fucking role. Then suddenly, who's a mate of Cartwright's, by the way, suddenly then ends up as the assistant manager. They bring in bloody what's his face? I've forgotten his name. I've gone all old man now. I've forgotten his name. Martin Patterson. No, and I don't know whether that was, but it's jobs for the boys. He was a teammate of fucking Duff's at Burnley. His mates with fucking Russell. So it just feels like jobs for the boys, doesn't it? And then what you end up with is just substandard output. So, I think that he will and have to pay. I mean, if he doesn't pay the price for this season, even if it happens towards the end, then they've no chance of selling season tickets. The quality of football will be the least of the fucking worries.
That's what I mean, Gaz. And maybe it takes a statement like that for fans to say, oh, actually, yeah, you are doing something about it. You do give a damn. You're getting rid of them. Right, we're going to get behind you one last season and see what happens. Because at this moment in time, as long as that bloke and the recruitment team's there, has anybody any faith that in summer we're going to bring the right players in to mount a challenge? Because I don't. No. The money's going down, isn't it? Under these new financial rules, I think we get to spend, is it 30% of revenue? That's going to go down again after. So realistically, this next season, if we don't do it next season, we're probably not going to do it for another in 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, worrying.
Very worrying.
Right, he
Very
can. Is it 30% of the money that Kev puts into the club he can invest on the playing staff? So I tell you what, we're going to have some really funky things in rest at stadium. We're going to have this new amphitheatre out back. It's going to be absolutely huge, and this hotel will be like the bloody Bellagio in downtown bloody Huddersfield, because they'll be having to spend some rate cash to be able to justify
backing off the Town Crescent.
Town Crescent. We'll get the bloody that ski lift thing, that gondola. We'll have one of them. 70% of that into money, 30% of that into fund to buy Messi or whatever.
I do. In some ways, I really feel for Kevin Nagel, because the man is genuine. He's put his hand in his pocket. He's probably funded us better than Dean did. He's put more money in his pocket. But he's been let down massively, and that's the thing I don't like. You, Nick, he's clearly a very, very better businessman than I'll ever be. I'm never going to be worth what he's worth. So he's nobody's fool, this guy, which is what I find really strange, that there's not been, that level. He doesn't hire and fire the managers. I'm sure he has an opinion, and I'm sure he has an input as to whether they do or don't get fired, because he writes the check to pay him off. But, Cartwright and Jake Edwards, by the way, Jake Edwards is dodging a lot of bullets here. Between Cartwright and Edwards, they run the football operations of that business, and the football operations, Kev owned it, have been a fucking shambles. We've been shy and we got relegated.
I don't know. I mean, I hope Mr. Nagel listens to this, or snippets of it, and I'm sure bits of it does. I know some people at the club listen to this, and it probably does filter back in some regard, but he's got to do something. He's got to do something, because this is terrible on and off the pitch. It's we are as far removed from a promotion chasing side, really, as anything. We don't. You look at a Bolton now, galvanised, new manager, they're on fire. Leighton Orient charging up the league. All these clubs have what we don't, and that's togetherness. They've got a plan. They've got an identity. They've got an idea of what, and none of us seem to know what the fuck's going on here. The players don't seem to know what's going on. They just look like strangers on that pitch. There's no fluidity. There's no understanding. There's absolutely nothing. And yeah, you can blame injuries to a point, but not for all of it. And who's responsible for the players? And to me, at some point, he's given long enough. He's given over a season. It failed last season, but he stuck with them, and that's credible. We've got to give credit. You can't just fire everyone left, right, and centre over nothing. But he stuck with them, and it still ain't worked. It's still not worked. So I think now is the time for a reset behind the scenes, and then a reset in summer on the pitch. Let's get fresh ideas, a new mentality, because it can't be much worse, guys. Let's be honest. It can't get much worse.
I just want, they came up with the all together, whatever it is. All
everything
of
together.
Everything together. You go down Leeds Road and you see all the flags flying on the lamppost. And do you know what? I love all that stuff. I'm right up for some of that. The problem you've got is it's just a slogan. Right now, it's just a slogan. It means nothing. I can't see any evidence from the club that makes me feel that way. And I've just seen Feathers has just said what I was just going to say, and that's my worry. I think if Kev weren't so near to securing the stadium, won't surprise me if he'd fuck off now. But the club will be way more saleable with the ownership of the stadium and a bit of investment in it. But there's going to come a point where he's going to go, even if he is allowed to put money in, there's going to come a point where he just goes, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? He's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he's getting himself into internet rounds with fucking idiots from Huddersfield. At some point, he's going to go, why am I doing this?
He loves it, mate. That's why he's on there, because of the extreme opinions. Steve Shepherd, believe. The thing is, mate, I know you're saying that in jest, but we've seen what can be achieved. Wagner and to a degree, Carlos as well. They showed the way. If you get the right ideas across and you get the team 100% behind you, us fans, we just want to be entertained. We just want to see that team going 100%. And once we see that, once there's that synergy there can be something special. Yeah. I know it wasn't quite the same under Corbrand, but the potential is there. We've seen it. Only 7 years ago, we're in Premier League. It's there for us, and I think that's the most frustrating thing, that we've got a chairman with the money who's willing to put his hand in his pocket and back us. But we haven't quite got the people behind the scenes that can take that money and spend it wisely. And it's absolutely killing us. at the moment. It's killing us. The recruitment, some of them, even before they kicked a ball, we're thinking, what we signed him for? He's not going to do anything. And I don't think we've ever been wrong yet, really. I don't think any of them have proved us wrong, turned out to be amazing players. So why aren't they seeing that? Oh, this bloke's been injured 80% of his career. Well, it won't here. What? What are you thinking? Just wasting money, hemorrhaging money on dross. I agree. Feathers, McGraw, best football in recent years was under Carlos. Some of the goals we scored in that season, I still remember that goal against Derby at home, and we had about 30 passes. And then I think it was Bakuna side-footed it. It was credible football, mate. And it's not unachievable. It is not unachievable. But we've got to have a strategy. And I'm not sure with Duff. I like how he speaks. I really do. But if he wants such a good speaker, straight talking, would people give him as much slack as they have been? Because the football has been awful. It hasn't it? It's been... So, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Wigan on Tuesday. Yeah. Anyone going? Andy, Gaz, are you... Yeah?
I'll be in Swindon, so I'll be watching it on my iPad in a hotel room.
Yeah, I'll be watching it now. I won't be going to that one, but Andy,
Why?
Why, mate?
Well, I don't know. Well, it's me and the lad, and I said to him earlier on. I says, look, we decided yesterday. I had decided that we weren't going to go. Forget it. Somebody else can have the tickets if they want them. And then it was like, oh well, what happens if, because the last time he decided he didn't want to go was Cambridge away, and we know what happened there. So he said, well, what if it's like Cambridge away? So we're going on the basis that my son thinks it could be like Cambridge away. So that
God love him.
when that doesn't when that doesn't happen,
it kills you.
It is the hope that kills you. But it could be one of them nights. Last time we went, we lost 1-0 and it were awful. And Vaklik were playing with it seemed like only on one leg. And what's his name? What's that fellow we got on loan? Not Ferrestier, the other one.
That was when Vaklik was taking the goal. It looked like he'd got his knees on backwards, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
I've never seen a bloke walk like that. That was fantastic.
Looking like a shitty sen, isn't it?
That was it. Yeah, he did. So yeah, we're going. We'll go and have a Wigan kebab. I've explained to him what a Wigan kebab is to my son, and he's horrified because he's eating clean and he's going to the gym now. He's 16, so he's not looking forward to that bit. But it's all part of the Infinite game, and it's all part of being a Town fan. You've got to that cliche, isn't it? It's it's the games like yesterday that make the little bit of success you might end up with eventually even sweeter. So you've got to stick in with it. I think they might be shite, but they're my shite. So yeah, let's go and see what happens. Then we're off to Stevenage as well on Saturday. So yeah, a couple of away trips for me and the boy.
Proper diehard, mate. As are you, Stephen Shepherd. My heart goes out to you. As always, mate, it's going to be tough. It's going to be, well, I don't think it's going to be a classic. I could be wrong. But Wigan worry me again because they've got a bit of pace, haven't they? Could cause us
play about a bit as well.
Play about a bit. And Gaz, let's be honest, who the fuck's playing, mate? Because have we even got 11 players left after the massacre yesterday? Yeah. Who's in defence?
Well, I have a feeling it'll be another 4 or 5 people on the bench instead of the 7 to make a point, won't it? He'll do the old, I've got 3, it'll be 2 goalkeepers on the bench routine again. That don't really matter because he don't play them anyway. But, Wigan are in terrible form, worse than us. So you know what's going to happen, though. We're going to rock up and we're going to let them break the run. Yeah, absolutely. Give them another game. Actually, a good point. Steve Shepherd said Spencer's back from his which he will. So it'll be him and Longwhite centre halves, I would think, won't it?
Yeah, I would think.
And then I'm going to go to Stevenage Saturday as well. So I'll see you down there, and I'll make sure I'll see what queue you're in and push in at front.
Yeah, push in. Yeah, like you always do.
Oh, yeah. But as we've seen when they play away from home, they have an habit of grinding it out, don't they? So it wouldn't surprise me if they won the next 2 games. Honestly, it wouldn't. If we came away, it wouldn't surprise me if we took 6 points from the next 2 games. I'm fancying a draw Friday and a win Saturday, weirdly. Despite all of this doom and gloom, I do think we could take 4 points out of the next 6, which is why the game on Saturday at home was such a massive game for me.
Well, you look at it, pretty much every result went for us, Gaz. You know, all the teams dropping points. We're playing a team
today, didn't they?
Wrexham won today. But that's a team that I've said all along, I think they're getting second, and that's why, mate, because when, you know, these teams, when they have a sniff of the chance, when these teams stumble, they pounce on it. And when that happens to us, we say, oh, no, it's all right, we'll let you off, we'll lose. We never seize the opportunity. It were perfect for us. All the other teams struggling, dropping points. We're playing a team devoid of confidence, leaking goals like a sieve. Away, haven't won away since August, and we just gift them a win. We just throw 3 points down the drain. And that's why we're going nowhere this season, unfortunately. When is Taylor back? I have absolutely no idea. I forgot we'd signed him, to be honest. It's been that long since I've seen him. Only time I've seen Joe Taylor was signing replica shirts in the club shop with Ruskin last week. Yeah, absolutely. That's all they seem to be doing, Michael, at the moment, isn't it? It's a joke. I think he will be a good signing, but he's only going to be a good signing when he's on the pitch, innit? And I just hope he doesn't turn... I'm convinced he was injured when we signed him. Absolutely convinced. So, I don't know. I think we'll lose. I think Wigan will have too much for us. I think we'll lose 2-0 to Wigan. But I do think we'll get a result at Stevenage, maybe a draw. What's that face for?
What are you doing, Andy? You tidying up?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've just realised that I need to put all this stuff into my bag, my suitcase over here, because I'm working tomorrow, and I thought, oh shit, I've got to clean my room down and put it all over there. So I just thought I'd shift it. Sorry, I've got a huge suitcase with all me shite in it for my job, so apologies for bouncing around.
Guys, let's round it off then. Feathers McGraw could turn toxic Tuesday. You know, one thing Adam said, I completely agree with. The away support this season's been phenomenal throughout, hasn't it? Right from that first game at Peterborough away, the fans have stuck with them, and I know it's your diehards, it's us against the world kind of mentality away. It's a bit seed mentality, and it's different to at home. There's not as much, even in the lesser teams, you're still away. So I always think there's that kind of the expectation's slightly lowered. It's if we get a result, then it's always amazing away, no matter who you play. It's always more difficult, and the fans have been phenomenal. And that's what pisses me off more than out is when they travel away in big numbers and you get treated to an absolute shit show. Yeah. It's just not fair, is it? The fans deserve so much better than what they're seeing this season. Big away support Tuesday. Most bought tickets for the New Year's Day. Yeah. Well, I just hope they'll be entertained, even if we don't get the win. Just have more than 2 shots on target would be nice, wouldn't it? And that's what it's come to this season in League One in an awful league.
I've just got an image in my head of Michael Duff after the game in a toga, giving it full on Maximus Decimus Meridius. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? So, yeah, I don't know where. Because what I mean, if it just goes in off somebody's arse and we win 1-0, we'll be happy enough. But the way that we won't be entertained, that's for definite.
No. Hey dear. Let's finish on. Well, I'd say a positive, but it ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna be. Prospects for this season, guys. We're 5th in the league. It's weird, isn't it? We're 5th in the league. Still couple of points clear, but I just don't see us finishing in the top 6. Not this season. It's just things just haven't fallen for us with the injuries and everything else. It's been a bit of a mess. Andy, is there still hope this season, mate? Are we overreacting?
Yeah,
because we won the last 2, didn't we? Are we just been a bunch of fannies?
We're naturally pessimistic as town fans. I think playoffs as Steve has just put, playoffs at absolute best. I think we'll need to find some form from somewhere, but we've done it before. Why can't we do it again? Let's get. I think we just need to get a bit of solidity about us. If we get 4 points from the next two, that will be 10 points from the last 5 games. So that will be 2 points a game. If we do that from now to then, that's 85 points. So that will be playoffs quite comfortably. Probably wouldn't be pushing top 2. Well, certainly not second place. First place has gone into. But you never know. We've not lost to any of the teams apart from we lost to Peterborough. We haven't lost to any of the other teams that we're due to play in the rest of the season. So you've got to hope they can drag something out of the bag and go, do you remember when we beat this lot? Remember when we beat Orient? Remember when that? Remember when you remembered how to pass the ball 5 yards to another player in a blue and white shirt? Just remember that and see what can happen. Yeah, so hope springs eternal. And it's better than fighting bloody relegation, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, it might be League One, but that's just where we are at the minute. It'll change. It might be League Two, might be Championship. If everything's going well, just be certain it'll change. If everything's going shit, just be certain it'll change. We've just got to hang in there, just try our best, enjoy ourselves as town fans, and just see what happens. That's the whole point of it. Hope springs eternal. So, yeah. I hope we can. Do I think we can? Maybe. Don't know. Some things need to change, but let's back my team. Let's give them a go.
It's funny, isn't it? That Orient game, last game at season. It's beginning of season, I looked at that and I thought, oh, nice. At least we've got an half decent game to finish the season. And now I'm
could be huge. Yeah.
Really worried about that. Really worried about that. Could be a big one.
When we went to Leighton Orient away, I was really impressed with Orient on the day. I think they're one of the best teams I've seen this season. While you were talking, Andy, I've just asked ChatGPT average points for a sixth place finish in League One over the last 10 seasons. The average is 73.8, but it's dragged down by the fact that COVID season, of course, they never finished League One, did they? So the last 4 seasons been 80 points, 81 points, 83 points, and then 74 points. So it's probably going to need to begin with an 8 or pretty close to get into the playoffs. So we're going to need another 25, 27 points. And can we do? I think we're more than capable of getting in the playoffs still, ironically, despite all of this, because the league's so bad. I genuinely think we've got enough quality and we'll turn it on enough occasions to do that. I just worry that if we get to the playoffs, I'm not sure we've got players who are going to be. Can you imagine a 2-legged game against Wickham or Wrexham or Stockport? Or I just can't see us turning it on over 2 games consistently to be able to get to the final. And then if we got to the final somehow, I think for the first time ever going to a playoff final at Wembley, I'd be thinking, I don't think we're going to win this. Every other time I've always thought we were going to win. So I think we'll do the playoffs. Hope springs eternal and all that, doesn't it? So I think we'll still get there, but it's going to be horrible. It's going to be mind-numbingly grinding football that gets us there.
I've said 5th all season long, so although it's bad, I feel like I should stick with it, and I think that's probably where we'll end up. But I am worried about Orient and Bolton. I have to say, we've got to up our game. The thing is, if you got like Mikael Miller back and Joe Taylor, we look a different side. But a lot of these players are out for like 6 weeks at a time, and it's just absolutely killed us. If we had all our players available, we should be pushing top 2 there, no problem. But where are they? I don't.
On the grass.
On the grass.
Aren't they? So maybe we need to get on the grass.
Yeah,
and everything will be a bit more happy.
It might be more enjoyable if we, maybe they should hand them out on the seats instead of the clappers or whatever they put out. Someone send that into Kev as a suggestion, then we'll all go away happy.
I know what'll improve the atmosphere at the ground.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take. It's anyone. I mean, where is Mikael Miller? Is he out for season? Is he?
No, he's on the grass. He's on the grass.
He's on the grass. He is on the
training.
grass.
He's
right.
He's Dutch again, so you'll be good at it, won't he?
Right then, guys, we'll wrap it up there. It's been tough, this pod, but we've tried to keep it light as possible, but it's just soul destroying. You get a couple of wins, far from convincing, but you just games like that, you've got to win. You have to win, and time after time we let ourselves down. And sorry if it has been a bit negative and a bit miserable and moaning, but it's Town, innit? It's just Town this season. They just love to frustrate us all, and who knows? Maybe get a win at Wigan. Maybe things will start looking up again. So thank you very much, guys, for sending your questions and your comments in. It really is appreciated. If you could subscribe, that'd be amazing on YouTube, especially on Spotify as well. Give us a follow on X. We'll send some posts out. And and join us again next time. We'll be on probably after Stevenage or maybe Wigan, depending on what happens on who's free. But yes, let's hope for a better performance at least next time. Thank you, Andy, Gaz, and to Killer as well, who's done a runner. Guys, we'll see you all next time. Take care of yourselves and up the Town.
Up the Town.